Hey guys, Sublord here, back with another action figure review of a character that we never got during the good old days Ben 10 Classic. That, of course, is the Ben 10 2016 Reboot series, Hex. Brought to us by the fine folks over at Playmates Toys. And Hex, like many a character from the original Ben 10 continuity, never had a figure back then. This guy, Dr. Animo, both got figures for this reboot line, but never had figures back in the day, at least as far as I know. And I was pretty up on releases as far as like the Ben 10 Alien collection goes. Not so much the other stuff, but like the core, 4-inch line. I was pretty up on that. I even know about the Battle Pose Vilgax. It's got the clear arms and head. I bet you didn't know about that. If you did, well, you can just Google it, so it's not that hard. One thing I do know is that there was another character Playmates was going to make in this Ben 10 Reboot series line that never saw the light of day, in true Playmates fashion, and that was Crab. He was one of the 3 bounty hunters from the classic series, from the episode Hunted, my favorite episode from Season 1, by the way. He was in that episode alongside 66 and Tetrax, who ended up being a good guy. But at any rate, Playmates was going to make Crab, but they didn't end up making Crab, therefore your boy Overlord ended up being very sad, because that looked like a cool figure, and like Hex here, would have probably worked just fine with the original Ben 10 line from back in the day. That said, there were a couple other figures that Playmates Toys didn't make but showed. There was like an evil galvanic mechamorph looking guy. Not Malware, but he kind of looked more like an emperor or something like that. I think he was a bad guy from one of the movies from this reboot series. And then there were a couple of Omni-enhanced variants that never got made, like Gray Matter with a mech suit and Wildvine with like a bear trap instead of the Venus flytrap thing he's used to having. There might have been a stink fly, one of those too, but don't quote me on that. But at any rate, we're not talking about all that. We're talking about good old Hex here, and this figure is pretty cool as far as his accessories go. You got his staff. Now, I will tell you something in Wrath fashion. I had to pay 20 bucks to get this frickin' thing, because while I had a Hex figure, I didn't have his staff. I got the staff the day I'm recording this, and sure as heck, the Hex figure I bought it with came in 2 pieces. So I'm going to have to hit up the seller and see if I can get some of my money back. If they give me like half my money back, I'll be smitten. Because, like I said, I didn't need Hex, I needed his staff, but, it still came broken, and that sucks. Which is odd, because Playmate stuff is pretty decent, and usually doesn't have that problem. Because not for nothing, that figure broke at the waist. This figure's waist turns just fine, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if it broke initially and was glued back together, or if I don't know, got stomped on while it was on the way here. It was just in a bubble mailer, so it's not like it was really easy to tell if that had happened or not. But, yeah, this guy looks like he shouldn't be in a kid's show. He looks like a satanic cultist. He's got his King Diamond face paint going on so he can be all, Tennyson! And, conjure up evil spells that summon the forces of darkness to do his bidding and whatnot. Surprised we didn't see Charmcaster in this series. Was she in the series? I almost think Darkstar was. I don't know if she was. But at any rate, as far as his articulation goes, his head will rotate side to side. See, he's got his little hood flaps in the front and in the back. It's all fine and dandy. He's got his crazy kind of shawl, cloak, cape thing. It just kind of sits over top of him. I'm assuming this is all one piece as far as the actual costume goes. His shoulders can go out. Not even 90, which is kind of surprising, but it is what it is, I guess. They can rotate back and forth. He does have a single jointed elbow with rotation. He's got a swivel at the wrist. No hinges like Heat Blast, but that's fine. Again, he's got a waist twist, but I guess be careful. I mean, this one works fine, but the one I got to get this gosh darn staff broke right in half. Hips will kick back and forth. It'll kick out. It'll kick back in. It does have a single knee with rotation, and that is it. Nothing at the feet, although there is like a slit here, so they could have put some kind of ankle rotation in there, but it's a Playmates figure. You shouldn't expect much out of these. As far as his accessory goes, I like to have him hold it up here. If I can. That's where I like to have him hold it. I think that's actually where he's supposed to hold it. That's like the designated area for it. But there you go. Apparently he's a lefty. And I actually think he is like a full-blown lefty. I feel like he only held this in his left hand in the Classic Series. I just binge-watched the Classic Series, so, you know, my memory of that's a little sharper than usual. Taking that out. Getting him to stand here. This little ringlet thingy, it does actually move. It's a separate piece, so that's kind of cool. Make it easier to store, because that way I don't got to worry about it getting jacked up or anything. I thought it was going to be like some soft gummy thing, and it's actually like a solid plastic piece. And again, why I dropped 20 bucks in the first place. So, you know, it does suck that the figure that came with broke, but, you know, thankfully I had a backup already. So, yeah, it makes me a little weary about buying any more of these off eBay, though. Not because of the seller or anything, because I don't want to buy someone like Jet Ray, a character I don't have yet, and then it's like, oh, snap, he broke. That would suck. That would suck a lot, actually. So, with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Hex, alongside a couple other figures from this Ben 10 2016 Reboot series. We have good old Heat Blast, as well as the other villain in this first wave of Ben 10 2016 Reboot figures, Steam Smythe, who, as far as I know, is an original character from the Reboot. He didn't exist prior to this, although he seems very omniverse. Well, he might have been able to fit back in the classic days too, but that was really before the whole steampunk thing kicked off. I really think that kicked off towards the tail end, Ultimate Alien, into, I almost said Alien Force, Omniverse, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We're not talking about him, we're talking about Hex. And yeah, I think he scales quite nicely with these two. Again, this line isn't really about scale, but yeah, it works. It's fine. Getting these two out of the way. So we can bring in our two regulars. Mythic Legion's brother Mandibolith. Right there. And he is dropping his mace. Hold that thing, bro. There we go. As well as the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone. But hey, to his credit, Hex here looks to be a card-carrying member of the Men in Red and Black Club. Would you look at that? So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and while it does suck that we never got good old Hex back in the good old days of Ben 10 Classic, or UAF for that matter, it is nice that the fine folks over at Playmates decided to make him pretty early on for the 2016, 2017, whatever it is, Reboot series, because, well, the scaling is not too far off, and the style is not too far off. So if you were so inclined, I think this is one of the characters from this Reboot line that you could use with your Classic Series or UAF figures, especially if you're a little bit more open-minded like myself. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, Catch you guys later.